Hello, everyone. Happy New Year. Welcome back to the Creative Differences Podcast. I am Dallas, and I can't wait to see if Colin beats the allegations today.
I'm Colin, and as the person who is apparently alleged to be probably some sort of anti-black, something like that, that's usually what Dallas goes for, I would like to state for the record that I am not these things that Dallas makes me out to be.
And I'm Demi, and this week's series is one of my favorite things that we do on this podcast, despite all the work that I have to do to make it happen. Welcome to the Creative Differences Podcast, your one-stop shop for movie reviews, Fancast Fridays, Throwback Thursdays, and a number of other pop culture-related items. Happy New Year, guys. It's 2023.
It is. We done did it.
Hot damn.
Yeah, we made it. I'm honestly surprised. But we made it. It's 2023. And what we like to do at the beginning of the year is that we spend a week recapping the previous year, talking about our favorite movies, actors, TV shows, music artists, and then we look forward to the future with our most anticipated movies of the upcoming year. Today, we are going to be giving you guys our top 10 movies of 2022.
Yes, and just a reminder, these are just our opinion.
That's why it's favorite, not best.
Yeah, feel free to argue with us in the comments because we need engagement. But, you know, just have fun with it. Don't get too serious. They're just movies.
So the way that we do this, though, is we kind of have, it's not really a rule of the game, but it's more of a format of the episode. What happens is we will go through our top 10 list, you know, as people do, number 10, number 9, number 8. And as we are going through them, if somebody else has the same movie as the person speaking and it's higher up on their list, they will call skip, and we will wait until it is at the person's highest point on a list before talking about it.
Yes, for example, if Colin's number 6 is blonde and Demi's number 3 is blonde, she would say skip, and then we would talk about it when we get to number 3.
But I promise you that will not be happening on today's podcast.
Mainly because I haven't seen Blonde.
And Demi didn't like it. Yes. So now you get it. Now you got it.
All right.
You ready to go?
Let's get started.
Also, Gaby's not here. She doesn't believe in camaraderie. Maybe next time.
That's not true. But I do have her list, and I will be going through it later. But let's start us off with our usual honorable mentions list. Colin, do you have... Well, actually, we start with Dallas. Dallas.
We do. We start with me.
Do you have any honorable mentions?
I do. I have 5.
Jesus.
My honorable mentions are Honk for Jesus, Save Your Soul, The Gray Man, Lightyear, Spirited, and The Menu.
Nice. Colin, do you have any?
I don't do honorable mentions.
I knew that was going to be your answer.
He's the opposite of Zuko. He doesn't believe in honor.
Funny story, guys. Colin swore off doing these episodes, but the problem is that Gaby has rational reason for not being here, so he has to do this.
Does she?
Yeah, she does. More reason than you.
Yeah.
All right, so my honorable mentions. I have 6.
Ooh, look at you.
I had 6 last year, too, actually, surprisingly.
You do like the movies.
I do. I try to cap it at 5, but sometimes there's just that one that I'm like, no, it needs to be mentioned. But yeah, my honorable mentions are Nope, Honk for Jesus, Save Your Soul, The Woman King, The Menu, The Northman, and Ambulance.
All right. We got some overlap.
We
both got Honk for
do.
Jesus. We both got The Menu. I really hope Honk for Jesus is on Colin's list because I wanted to talk about it. And I was hoping you had it.
Nope.
Okay.
All right, let's start this off. Let's kick us off at number 10.
Yes.
Dallas.
Off mic, we talked about whether we'd get skipped. I think I'm going to get skipped by Demi twice and at no other points. And I think I'm going to get skipped right now because my number 10 is The Batman.
Skip.
Yep.
Colin, what's your number 10?
All right. We're getting there. My number 10 is Lightyear.
Hey, look at that. I get to talk about Lightyear with my buddy Colin.
I do too. I really
Yeah.
liked Lightyear.
It's so good. I like it. Tell us why you like Lightyear.
It was one of those movies that, like, when they announced it, I was like, why? Who cares? I don't give a shit. But once I actually saw it, the whole way that they did what they did, like the whole hook of like I don't know how much to say, you know?
Yeah, you can
But,
say
like-
as much as you want. It's the end of the year. We're not giving spoilers if we want to.
All right, fuck y'all. Anyway,
Oh, okay.
the
That's
whole
the fun
time
part of the
travel
end of the
thing
year.
was super cool.
Yeah.
Like I was not expecting that at all, and I thought the way they did it was like really like it hit. It was good. I'm like, yeah, the movie, like, it didn't leave that much of an impression, but like it was a fun time, and that's kind of all I needed it to be.
It was so much fun. I love this movie. I gave it its flowers when we talked about the movie.
For the record, most of these movies that'll probably be on our top 10 list, they do already have reviews.
Yeah.
So you can go over and check out those reviews after we're done.
In-depth thoughts.
Yeah.
As in-depth as we go in our kind of time limits that we don't really stick to.
But this time around, we're probably going to be giving spoilers as we do it.
Yes, I will try to avoid them, but
Nah, it's been a whole year,
I'm
guys.
just speaking for me. I'm going to try to avoid them. But,
I'm not.
Well, I
Yeah.
feel like
Spoiler warning.
it's a thing to address based on when the movie came out. Like if,
Right.
Avatar Wet and Wild is on Demi's list,
She probably shouldn't spoil it.
yeah.
Yeah, and I probably wouldn't.
Yeah, not for
I
that
probably wouldn't for that one. But like for most of these movies,
It's been a while.
it's been a long time.
It's been a while. But,
It's been a while.
Yeah, the movie's beautiful. Socks is that dude. Like, they got to have the adorable Pixar character.
Keke Palmer's amazing.
She's so good.
And Chris Evans is really good as
I
Buzz
loved him.
Lightyear.
I loved him. He was
Yeah.
fantastic. Shout
No,
out to White
Dallas,
Hennessy.
you can't love him. They emasculated the character.
No, they castrated him, I think.
Castrated. Oh my god, it was
Neutered?
worse.
One of them.
What? We don't
No, I
need
think
to
she
talk
said
about that.
castrated. Yeah,
Yeah, it's bad. It's a bad thing. It was a
just
stupid
chopped it
thing.
off.
Oh God, it's a toy. It doesn't have one. Anyway,
True.
Lightyear is actually in my top 10 Pixar movies
Same.
because I loved that movie, and also I'm just a huge sci-fi fan in general.
Yeah.
And this really man, I was like, ooh, it's Pixar, but it's just straight up sci-fi, and
Yeah.
this is totally my thing.
It was so much fun.
It's a space movie. I love space movies.
It's a great space movie, and with me, I talked about this last time. The animation aspect of it is just, it's so beautiful, and I just love everything they did. Do all the Pixar stuff. They make it sad. They hit you in the heart. They make it funny. You laugh. You cry. Maybe I don't cry because I'm a robot.
Sorry,
I love
what? Hold on, what?
He's a
What?
Say that
robot.
again.
What?
Say that
Colin,
again,
you
Dallas?
really don't want him to continue down this robot road. You really
No,
don't.
no. Say it again, Dallas.
I said I don't cry.
Because you're a robot.
I didn't say
Terrifying.
that.
Colin, you're falling into a trap of your own making.
That's not one of the allegations today, actually. Just so you know. But they will be coming. They will be coming. Great movie. I'm happy that it's on Colin's list. It was almost on mine.
It was on my list for a long time, actually.
Mine too. And then movies just kept on coming out.
End of the year had a good run.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
All
so
right.
I guess that takes us to my number 10, which
Yep.
I know is not on either of you guys' list. It's Top Gun Maverick.
You're right.
Yep. I saw that movie twice in theaters. It's just a fantastic movie overall, which is why it made so much money in the box office. But it's a really good action film. I thought Tom Cruise did a great job. And I thought that there was almost like a meta feeling to it because it was very much a movie about aging and passing on the baton to the next generation and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And I think that kind of fits with where Tom Cruise is in his life.
Fair.
Like he's getting older and the next generation is kind of, taking all the parts and stuff like that. Not necessarily taking all the parts, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, he's still riding motorcycles off cliffs.
Exactly, as we will see. Also, Top Gun Maverick gets the prize for the furthest I have ever leaned forward in a seat while watching a movie in a theater.
All right.
There is a sequence where he is showing the students that what he needs them to do is possible
Mhm.
by doing it himself, even though it's against the rules. He's not supposed to, but that's what Maverick
course.
does. He just breaks rules all the time.
He's a maverick.
He's a maverick. But man, that sequence started and I just leaned so far forward because it was so exhilarating and thrilling. And there was always this sense in the back of my mind, we know that Tom Cruise does his own stunts. And I'm just sitting there I know Tom Cruise knows how to fly a fighter jet
Mhm.
because that's just what he does. How are they filming this? How is he doing this? How is any of this happening? And it just added to the thrill of watching this movie. The cast is really good. I'm a fan of Glenn Powell, especially after this movie. He did a really great job here. Miles Teller was really good in this movie.
I like him.
Miles Teller's fun. He's
great.
He's great. Yeah, it was an awesome movie and I highly recommend it. I think I saw the original movie literally a few days before I saw the
Right.
second one. But yeah, I had a great time watching it. Highly recommend. Top Gun Maverick, super good.
Nice.
Also, their use of Val Kilmer,
Mhm.
superb.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because Val Kilmer has had throat cancer and can no longer speak.
Oh,
So their usage of his character Ice and the way that they bring Val Kilmer in just feels really respectful to what he's been dealing with. And it was also a very clever way of being able to bring him into the movie
nice.
and not having to erase his character from it. I'm hoping that the TV series Willow finds a way to do that if they get a season 2, because they were trying to do it for season 1, but they weren't able to because of COVID stuff.
Right.
But hopefully for season 2.
Nice.
Number 9,
Number 9
Dallas.
is a movie that really just saw by happenstance. We were chilling at the house one day and it was on Netflix and we thought, why not? It is Ball is Life, the movie, Hustle.
That movie was good.
So
I was there. We watched it together.
I saw the trailer for it and I thought, that seems cool. Maybe I'll get it. And then one day we just watched it and I was like, oh, it was really good.
It was really good.
It's so good. It's directed by Jeremiah Zagar from a screenplay by Taylor Matern and Will Fetters. It stars Adam Sandler, Queen Latifah, and Juancho Hernan Gomez, and a bunch of basketball players. I love sports movies. That's my thing. The format, I know it's formulaic. I know it's usually going to be predictable. I do not care.
The tropes work.
The tropes work. Underdog story, basketball, football. I'll even throw in a baseball sometimes. I am all about it. Adam Sandler is great. We know he's great. We also know he loves basketball. Ball is life for Adam Sandler. You can see pictures of him in his baggy-ass shorts, balling people up in the pickup game. So his love of this, I think, translates really well on screen. And it has an authenticity to it that really worked for me. Also, he's just really likable. Say what you will about...
Really good in this movie.
Yeah.
He's really good with the drama. He's really good dramatic actor.
He is. And after seeing Uncut Gems and just being stressed for however long that runtime is, this isn't a complete reprieve because it's also a little stressful because, you know, there's got to be some stress in there. But it's just so much more wholesome. Like he's in a loving relationship with Queen Latifah, our queen, who we love. Bonus points for him having a black wife. And more bonus points for it being Queen Latifah. Yeah, it's just like he has an inherent likability from me that makes him a great protagonist. I want him to succeed. And every moment where he does is super inspiring. The soundtrack is fire. I came away with a few songs off Shazam that I'd never heard of before. It's great to see people get balled up on screen in a way that looks cinematic. If you like sports movies or Adam Sandler, check it out. That's Hustle.
I forgot to mention that I think Top Gun Maverick actually is the only movie that we don't have a review for, but I think I mentioned it at some point on the podcast. I just don't remember which episode.
Do we review Hustle?
We did not. Colin, what's your number 9?
All right, everybody. My number 9, I think the full title is Sonic the Hedgehog 2. I just had it as Sonic 2 for a while.
Hey!
Talk about a fun time. It was. Like, the first one was good. This one was good. Had a great time. I don't know. It was just fun. Like, Idris Elba as Knuckles was one of those things that when they announced it, I was like, okay.
Same.
But then it worked super well. And Jim Carrey is like being Jim Carrey about it. And it works. Like, just a good time. And I'm glad that there's a video game adaptation into a movie that isn't shit.
It's so good. I had the same question. I said, Idris is what? That's got to be wrong. How are they going to do that? And they did it, and it was perfect. He played it so earnest and played it so straight. The way that they do that character, his voice is perfect for it. His like gravitas, his low tone, his Britishness. It's just all fantastic. What's his name? Ben Schwartz? Perfect for Sonic. He has this high,
He's so good,
energetic, really borders on annoying voice and way of speaking. But there's something lovable about him that you just can't help but like.
The character is lovable enough that the voice, like you can excuse the voice.
I can see that. And he played another role this year that I'll talk about when we get to actors, maybe. That, yeah, it's the same. His energy, I just really love it.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see Sonic 2?
Nope. I didn't see Sonic 1.
You were so excited about this one because Tails.
I was, but I never saw Sonic 1.
Because Colin is great. Colin O'Shaughnessy comes back as Tails.
I only care about Tails.
She's fantastic. But there's a scene that I was watching it with Kayla and I thought, I want Demi to see this. Because Tika Sumpter and Natasha Rothwell, they play sisters. Ugh. And they have their own little side quest in this movie.
I love them so
that was
much.
good.
And
that was real good.
So great. It was one of the standout points of the movie for me. Fantastic movie. I know it's not on my list, but I'm taking over because I love it.
Sure.
And every action shot with Knuckles could have been a poster that I would put on my wall. Especially when he catches Sonic as a boss. Like,
oh yeah, that was good.
Fire. Definitely a good one. Fun for the whole family. And made me excited about Sonic, a game that I've never been excited about. The little reveal at the end credit scene, I was like, yo!
I mean, a new one came out, so if you want to play the new one, you can.
And I won't. But I will be very excited when Sonic 3 comes out, the movie.
All right, guys, I guess that takes us to my number 9, which is Avatar, The Way of Water.
Hey.
Yeah. Like I said, I like space movies.
You do.
I love sci-fi space movies. I love movies that take me to a different world and immerse me in that because I get enough of the real world in the rest of my daytime life. Fair. I love world building, and I think James Cameron does a great job of that in Avatar, and he spends a lot of time doing it. It's fun for me. I'm a huge fan of world building. It's so fun. I think the characters are better this time around. Literally, we just did a review of this movie like 2 weeks ago, so you can go listen to that if you really want to. But I thought the characters were great, especially this time around. The teen protagonists were a lot more interesting to watch than, no offense to Jake Sully in the first movie. He's cool, but I like his teenage children a lot better.
That's fair. He's not super compelling.
Not really. And also, I think that Sam Worthington just does a better job this time around because, like, I guess that it feels like he has to be a dad. And that's just, being a dad is already hard enough, and also being like a husband as well, and being one who has to keep his family safe in this sort of situation.
Yeah.
It's like you can feel that conflict, and I feel like it's just so much more compelling and so much more relatable than the conflict that he had in the first movie,
Right.
which most people may never experience.
Mhm.
But I mean, you may never experience parenthood either, but you understand what it's like to want to protect people, to protect your family and your friends.
Right.
This one was really good. Technical marvel. It's a feat. It looks amazing. Sounds amazing. If you really like space movies like I do, I highly recommend checking out Avatar: The Way of Water. It is definitely still in theaters by the time this episode comes out.
Yeah.
And just, it's so pretty to look at. So, yep, number 9, Avatar: The Way of Water. You guys can check out the review. It's literally like 2 episodes ago.
Nice, nice, nice.
Number 8, Dallas.
Number 8 is The Woman King.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm glad somebody had it on their list because I was like, it was on there for a while.
Yeah.
And then knocked out.
Directed by Gina Prince Bythewood.
Love her.
Written by Dana Stevens and starring Viola Davis, Tuso Mbedu, Lashana Lynch, and others, but I'm keeping the starring sections short for this episode. Yo, this movie's so dope. Yeah, there was, controversy this, controversy that when it came out, but just as a movie itself, just enjoying it, watching it for what it is fantastic. And I came out thinking, Kevin Feige got to be kicking himself for not making a Dora Milaje movie before this came out, because that would hit.
I mean, he might still be able to do it, and at least his won't have controversy.
Right? Definitely could, but just watching this movie, I was like, yo, everyone kills it. Lashana Lynch, the standout for me. Her character was amazing, and her performance was amazing. Viola was fantastic. She could punch a white man into space in this movie. John Boyega, fantastic as the king, the man king, as he's called. They don't call him that, but he's great. I didn't know Tuso Mbedu before this movie. I can tell she's going to be a star from this movie and going forward, and I'm very happy for that. Also, as just said, I love sports movies, and this movie feels a lot like a sports movie in times. You got the practice montage, you got the underdogs coming together to beat the big bads. They're jogging through like a field, like remember the Titans? There's a lot of parts of different types of movies that I like in this movie. And Black Power, Black Royalty, we love to see it. Colin, is it on your list?
No, I haven't seen it.
I knew
You
you
ain't
were
beating
gonna
that
do
allegation.
it. The Woman King was amazing, so great. Like I said, I love Gina Prince Bythewood. I love her movies. And I'm glad that she's getting to expand out into like these bigger types of films, because for so long it was a lot of romantic dramas, romantic comedies type of things. Not a bad thing, but just, I like seeing those types of directors get to do other genres as well, because sometimes I feel like certain directors get trapped into a certain genre.
Right.
Even like superhero directors, like even then, like sometimes I'm like, I want to see you do something outside of superheroes and stuff like that, because I want to see what you can do in all forms of genre and art and that sort of thing. Yeah, cast is sick. This helped put Jamie Lawson on my radar. She was also in The Batman as the mayor.
Oh.
And she's like she's John Boyega's wife in this movie.
I didn't even recognize her in this movie.
I didn't either. Remember, we came out of the movie and I was like, I know her face and I don't know what her name is and I don't know where she's from and I don't know why I recognize her, but I know her and I don't know why. And then I found out it was from The Batman and I was like, that's why. Yeah. Of course. And then John Boyega, just amazing.
He's great.
Flawless. We love to see it. Can't wait to see what he does next, which is they clone Tyrone. They clone Tyrone.
That's true.
Ah, man. So, yeah, can't wait for whatever comes next for him. Viola Davis is amazing in everything that she does.
Always.
That I've seen. So, there's never going to be a fail there. Viola Davis will always be immaculate in what she does. And Lashana Lynch is just my favorite character in this entire movie.
She's great. She's my favorite too.
So good. And the action sequences are really good as well.
Mm-hmm.
The choreography and all that stuff. So good.
Love it.
Is it a little ahistorical? Absolutely. But what history movie is not?
Exactly, right? History's bad.
Don't learn your history from fictional movies.
Yeah,
it's not a good idea.
It's not a good place to go for that. All right, that is my number 8.
Colin.
All right. Time for me to talk about a movie that neither of y'all have seen.
Ooh.
Hell yeah, hell yeah, hell yeah. My number 8 is Fresh.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about. It's the Sebastian Stan movie where he's a cannibal?
Yes.
Yep.
It's one of 2 cannibal movies that came out this year. I did not see the other one.
Colin.
What's up?
We've talked about your affinity for cannibalism movies.
What?
Remember Raw?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. This is the second time you've done a list of top 10 movies that has a cannibalism movie on it.
it was a good movie. I don't know what to tell you, dude.
I didn't even have that allegation ready. I need new allegations for you.
Or you could just not allege me of things. I don't know
Anyway,
you.
tell us about
Fresh.
Jesus Christ.
Fresh
why
and
do I
Raw.
do this?
Notice these names: Fresh, Raw.
Fresh, Raw. All right.
I mean, there's only so many names you can use for cannibalism.
Now you have to watch Bones and All.
You got to check that box, Colin. You got to watch Bones and All.
Anyway, I'm not doing that because I read the plot summary for that movie and I was like, no, thank you. Ew. Anyway, Fresh. Basically, yeah, Sebastian Stan's a cannibal. He meets this girl and he takes her to a secluded place in the woods, even though they've just met, and tries to eat her.
Sounds about right.
And, this is a pretty good movie. Like, it's fun because it's like, how's she going to get out of this? I think part of the reason I liked it is because it wasn't as, like, gory or gross as it could have been.
Right.
That actually made it, bearable to watch.
Fair.
I don't want to call it a good cannibal movie, but...
I mean, hey, man, lean into it.
No.
If this is going to be part of your brand, just embrace it, Colin.
It's not part of my brand. I'm not making this part of my brand. I just happen to like 2 movies that have to do with cannibalism.
Yeah, that excuse never works for me, so you don't get to get off on this.
Well, no, the thing is, though, you also, whatever we're talking about it's like we usually have more examples.
Buddy,
Fair.
You're 2 for 2.
Well, technically,
Yeah,
it's 2 for
that's
3 because you didn't watch Bones and All. But I just feel like
that's why I'm saying
lot.
he's 2 for 2 because he hasn't seen the other ones.
Or the ones that he's seen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's 2 for 2.
I feel like you don't get a lot of cannibalism movies. So, it's not really a lot of...
I mean, now you
chances.
might, like, all of a sudden, you got 2 in 1 year.
Yeah, that might be what's hot in the streets now.
Now you
I
gotta
hope
watch
not.
Hannibal stuff. You like the show Hannibal?
Do you like the show Hannibal, Colin?
I never finished it.
3 for
But,
3.
Colin, you are not beating the allegations.
God damn it.
Why did you tell me that? You should have lied.
Listen,
He couldn't have lied because I knew that he
That's
did.
true, you know. All right, Colin. We're going to talk about this.
I am not a cannibal. I do not
Oh,
No,
endorse
I know
cannibalism.
I know you're not.
We're going to turn that into a soundbite like Gabby's I'm not a furry.
We can't though because we know he's almost vegetarian at this point. So,
It's a good cover. It's a good cover.
oh my god,
Cannibalism is bad. Don't do it.
please don't do it, guys. Moving on to my number 8, which neither of you guys have also seen as well. Vengeance.
Yay.
Yes,
Sure.
Gabby saw it though. I love Vengeance. Vengeance was a great movie and definitely unlike anything else on my list. It's a comedy and it's kind of about the political atmosphere of the modern day. For anybody who doesn't know what it's about, this guy who gets a call from this girl's parents who think that he's her boyfriend, saying that she's passed away,
Mhm.
and he had a hookup with this girl.
Right.
And that's it. So he goes to Texas to this girl's funeral because he doesn't want to upset her family. They're already upset enough. They just lost their daughter. He doesn't want to upset them any further.
Fair.
And he discovers that the family believes that she's been murdered. So he decides to create a podcast around their investigation of whether or not she was murdered or not. And it's kind of a look into the conservative, conspiratorial mindset.
Right.
It was a very interesting movie, very funny. I took my dad, and my dad also really enjoyed it. He had no idea what it was when I took him. He was just like, "Oh, you're going to the movie? What are you
fun.
seeing?" And I was like, "I want to go see this comedy." And he was like, "Oh, okay, we'll come with you." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So I bought him a ticket.
Nice.
It's done by, I think his name is BJ Novak.
Yeah.
Yes, he directed and wrote it and stars in it. And I think that he did just such a wonderful job of, I feel like and I talked about this in the review for the movie, it would be easy for us as a predominantly, we live in like a predominantly liberal state.
Yeah.
So it would be easy to be like, we're going to make a movie where BJ Novak's character is just this good guy liberal.
Mhm.
And the conservatives that he goes to meet are annoying and dumb and we hate them.
Right.
But he doesn't do that. They're
Nice.
very likable people. You fall in love with these characters. I think he balances it out really well because you love them. And I mean, you like him, but he's obviously not like some hero figure.
Right.
He has really big flaws. And as the movie goes on, he has to realize his own flaws as well. As the movie goes on, he's able to figure out like, oh, this kind of makes me a bad person.
Right.
Like, I'm not above these people just because I have some sort of different idea of what the world should be than they do.
Mhm.
Also, it probably helps that I don't think that at any point any of these conservatives are racist or homophobic or anything along those lines.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, they're just,
Nice surprise.
they're just into guns and
Right.
all sorts and that sort of stuff. And they're kind of ignorant, They
Fair.
live in a very small town in Texas. But he came up with the idea
Right.
for this movie while he was in a small town in Texas.
Of course.
And he had certain, it's a movie that's kind of about expectations.
Okay.
He had expectations of what these people would be like, and they turned out to not be what he expected.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a super good movie. I really liked it. And it was a really small one. Didn't get a lot of like traction, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I saw it because Dove Cameron is in it. And Dove Cameron is amazing in this movie as this girl who has no idea what she wants to do with her life. She just knows that she wants to be famous. For what? Don't know. But she wants to be famous.
Hey.
And I think that there's good commentary in that. There's a lot of good commentary in this film, I think. BJ Novak is amazing. Ashton Kutcher, also amazing. Like, one of the best things I've seen Ashton Kutcher in. One of the best roles I've seen him do. Small movie, but you guys should check it out. It's on Blu-ray and stuff now. Obviously, it came out in the summer. So my number 8 is Vengeance.
Love
Also, shout out to BJ Novak and whoever did the costuming or whatever for letting Dove Cameron do her like claw nails that she always does. Like, that's like a particular thing that she does now.
Okay.
It's just part of her style.
Yeah.
And so seeing her in the movie with all these claws, I was just like, ah, yes. We love to see it. So good.
Oh boy.
So good. But yeah.
That's good though. I like the nuance of, they're not just terrible conservatives, because that's an easy way to go. Real life ain't like that. You meet somebody, they're super cool, and then you find out some of their stances, and you're like, oh boy.
You're like, oh, buddy, why?
Right. But you don't look at them and think, oh no, everything about you sucks now. It's just, this thing sucks. But you were really cool before I knew that. And you're a cool person in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I highly recommend it. I think, Dallas, you might like it because you've seen some of BJ Novak's other stuff and you liked that.
Yeah, I like him.
And like you said, you like the nuance of that portrayal of people.
Yeah.
So I think that you would probably like it. And like I said, it's a comedy.
Yeah, I saw the trailer and I thought, that looks interesting. I might check it out.
Issa Rae's in it. We're rooting for everybody black.
All right.
All right, that takes us to number 7, Dallas.
Number 7 for me. Hell hath no fury like a white woman's entitlement. My number 7 is Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Ooh, that's not on my list at all. It used to be for a very long time.
Yeah, it's been like floating around this back half of my list for a while. Yeah, directed by Sam Raimi, written by Michael Waldron, starring Benedict Cumberbatch, Elizabeth Olsen, Xochitl Gomez, and a bunch of Marvel people. So when they first announced Doctor Strange 2, they're like, yo, it's going to be scary. And I was like, do it. I want that. Make it scary. I was thinking, as scary as Marvel's going to let you do it. Sam Raimi went off with this movie.
He did.
There are parts of this movie that are full-on horror scenes, and I love that.
Is Scarlet Witch coming out that mirror?
Yo, that mirror scene, the scene where she pops up
in the tunnel?
Boy, there's so many scenes. Elizabeth Olsen was killing it in this. The full, terrifying insanity and entitlement.
Her performance in WandaVision and her performance in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Right.
Insane.
Yeah.
She's so good.
She's killing it. And she's terrifying.
And like, she was like my favorite actress of last year for WandaVision.
Yeah.
And it was just like, ooh, you're still really killing it as this character. Like, so good.
Yeah. This movie did pretty much everything I wanted from it. I wanted it to be scary. I wanted it to do creative things with the magic. And they did. I wanted some cameos. I cheered multiple times.
Yeah.
During the scene where they brought in all those cameos.
Yeah. I remember editing the episode for that review because I'm not in it. And listening to the opinions, and I was like, Dallas is right. Gaby and Colin are so wrong. Like, it felt like one of the first times that, like, Marvel does give their directors creative freedom, but there are kind of parameters within the framework that you have to work in, obviously. But this felt like, oh, I actually feel Sam Raimi's touch on this film.
It was very Sam Raimi.
That's what I love about it. And if you don't like Sam Raimi's style, fine. But what he's doing it very well. It's all the weird stuff. Like, they were like, it feels 90s. And I was like, no, it feels Sam Raimi is what it is.
Right. He's very about that style. To be honest, his style is a lot for me sometimes. But I think it worked very well for this movie. This is a Marvel horror movie. I'm so glad it is.
Oh, that music note scene, I
loved it.
I was so
creative
that I was not on the review so I could agree with you so badly, because I was like, the music note scene is one of the best scenes in the movie.
Like, it's silly, but it's great. Like,
but also finally a unique way of showing magic. Like, oh my gosh.
Because a lot of times we get a magic battle and it's, I shoot a light at you, you shoot a light at me.
Literally
pew, pew, pew.
the finale of WandaVision.
Right, like, boom, I'm red and you're purple, go, go, go. But nah, you are the Sorcerer Supreme, kind of, because Wong took over. But like, you can do all these things with magic, do something different. So the fact that you can hit a piano and then attack with the notes That's creative. I love it.
And then also
That's what I
like the
wanted it to be.
music cues during that scene.
Yeah.
Like Giacchino is killing it.
Oh, snap. Is that Giacchino?
I think that's Giacchino.
No, wait. No, this is Danny Elfman.
Elfman, that's
Yeah.
right. He brought Elfman on board. Oh my
Mhm.
gosh, Danny Elfman killed it.
Yeah, I like this movie a lot. And I know that this phase of the MCU has been getting a lot of flack from different people for different reasons.
It's because Marvel's taking risks for once.
They're doing something different, and I love it. Like, we got a horror movie. We got a sitcom. We got a lot of stuff. I'm happy about it. Also, every time I see Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange, I like him more. The character's just growing on me and growing on me and growing on me. So I'm very glad to see him in this role. Yeah, I like it. It's great.
It's really
Shout out
good.
to Rachel McAdams, just because.
Also, it gave me a cameo of a character that I never thought I would ever see again. So,
Love that for you.
never thought I'd see Black Bolt again.
Man, did not expect that. He went out bad. Colin,
What up?
number 7.
All right. Number 7. Let's see. How do I introduce this?
Oh, boy.
Oh, God.
Get fucked, Dallas. Number 7 is probably going to get skipped, but I need you to know that it's on there. Black Panther Wakanda Forever, bitch.
Skip.
Ooh, you beat one allegation.
One allegation.
I will take what I can get.
Okay, hold on. Colin, I don't believe you because we talked about this movie afterward. And the way you were talking about it does not lend to is number 7 on your list. But we can come back to that when we talk about it on ours.
All
Because
right.
The allegations are pending, Colin.
Allegations.
What?
The
are pending.
allegations are pending.
You just want to allege.
He does, and he loves it.
I do. But I talked to you about it. It doesn't add up. The
All
math
right.
ain't mathing.
The math ain't mathin'?
The math ain't mathing.
All right, y'all. My number 7 is Mr. Malcolm's List, which is a romantic Regency piece that I saw this year. Another one of those smaller movies.
I forgot that was 2020.
2022? Yeah.
2022, yeah.
We consistently live in the year 2020.
Ever since 2020 hit, it just never went away.
It's just 2020 all the time. I really loved that movie. It was the first time I watched like a Regency romance movie and was just like, I'm in love with this. Like, I've watched several others because I have friends who adore that genre and I've liked them.
Mhm.
I've just never been in love with them.
Right.
It's not like one of those things where I would be like, yeah, I would choose to watch this. I watch them because other people want to, and I don't hate them. I like them. I think that they're good movies. But this one, I was like, oh, this is fantastic. Obviously, just please put people of color in your Regency period movies because it makes it so much better. Frida Pinto is, I love her so much. And I just feel like I don't see enough of her. And like, it's probably not helping that she currently has a small baby, but
Fair.
I want Frida Pinto in more things, in all the things,
Mhm.
especially more mainstream things. She's so good in this movie as the leading romantic character as Celine? No, I think that's who she dressed up as. She dressed up as the goddess Celine. Oh, as Selena. Haha, I was not
Yeah,
far off.
look at that.
Yeah, Selena Dalton. Sope Dirizu was so good as the male lead, giving Mr. Darcy vibes. Darcy is a character that I would give a lot of crap to, but
Yes.
I really like Sope Dirizu as this character who is very similar to Darcy. I just feel like he's, I don't know, he doesn't piss me off as much as Darcy does.
Got it.
I like Darcy. I like the role that he plays within the story and like the way that Pride and Prejudice plays out.
Mhm.
I just personally, I was like, at the rate that he takes to finally apologize, I would have been like, bro, I'm over you. I've moved
Right.
on. Like, I can't do this. Zaw Ashton is great as Julia Thistlethwaite, and Theo James is in the movie, and he's fantastic as well. Hard to believe that I've seen Theo James play two very different men this year. Honestly, I probably should have put him on my actor list because holy crap, those were two very different characters. But yeah, Mr. Malcolm's List, it's very sweet. It's very romantic. I love the costuming. I love the settings, and I love everything about it. I love that it is finally people of color in a Regency period film, because most of the time you hear people go, well, you can't put people of color in those movies because blah, 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 blah. It's like, why?
Y'all didn't exist back then.
We did, but
No, only white people existed until like they needed slaves, and then
So it was the first time that like I've watched one of these films and really felt like I really fell into the romance of it. So if you're into like romantic movies and period piece movies, I would highly recommend checking it out because it's so good. So yeah, my number 7 is Mr. Malcolm's List. That takes us to number 6.
Number 6. They call it a TV special. I call it a movie. It's an hour and a half. It's intergalactic.
Oh, nice.
I love this so much. I watched it and I've been thinking I should really watch it again, and I haven't gotten back to it, but I will because it's so good. The art style, beautiful. Wait a minute. I got to tell you who did these things. Intergalactic is directed by Fletcher Mullis and is written by Ian Edelman and Maurice Williams. It stars Kid Cudi, Jessica Williams, Timothy Chalamet, a bunch of other dope people.
Chalamet in a role that he needs to play some more.
Yo, Timothy Chalamet, with that fade, it's so clean that people were upset when the trailer dropped because they thought he was voicing a black character. And that'll never not be hilarious.
But it looks like him so much, though.
It's like...
It's just his face.
And the lighting, yeah, I see, the lighting and so... But yeah, that's Timothy Chalamet. But he was fantastic. This might make me a fan of Timothy Cabaret, and I'm ready for it. The animation is beautiful, some of the most beautiful I've seen in a while. I love the way the art in the street interacts with characters because Cudi's character, Jabari, I think is his name. Yes, Jabari.
We're misremembering a bunch of names today.
Yeah, it's been a while. Jabari is a street artist, and he draws a character named Mr. Rager, who looks super dope and is voiced by Keith David. And if that's not enough for this to be amazing, I don't know what to tell you. But as they walk through the streets, the art interacts with the world and the characters in a way that's just beautiful. It's a rom-com. Y'all know I'm not Mr. Rom-Com. But if you take it and you melanate it a little bit and you animate it a lot, I'm with it. You got me.
Dallas just said the same thing about Intergalactic as I said about Mr. Malcolm's List, but in different words.
Exactly. Throw some melanin, throw some dope animation, some heat. Cudi did release a companion album called Intergalactic with it.
I was re-listening to that recently, as a matter of fact.
Me too. I was trying to see if it was going to make my music list.
Me too.
Find out later, audience.
Find out in a few days.
Yeah, I really like that. It complements this as a musical piece very well. There are scenes when they tell stories and they change the animation style during storytelling scenes. And I'm a sucker for stuff like that. I love animation so much, guys. I'm not good at it. I can't do it. But as
you
a viewer,
could write it, though.
Definitely. A lot of stuff I write is for animation. It's so beautiful. The story's great. It's funny. I actually cared about the romance. Jessica Williams is fantastic, as always.
Love her.
Ty Dolla $ign's great. Vanessa Hudgens is great. She's playing Gaby. We talked about that last time.
It was fantastic.
If you've seen Intergalactic, I mean, you probably don't remember Gaby because she hasn't been on an episode in like 4 years, but just know that's Gaby.
That's such an exaggeration. It's more like 4 months.
We haven't been doing this for 4 years. But yeah, it's been a long time. Yeah, great love story, great animation, great everything. I love it so much. Part of the reason that I'm going to watch Arcane is because the art style, you saw, I posted on Facebook, give me anything in this art style and I watch it. And you were like, when are you going to watch Arcane?
When you going to watch Arcane, my guy?
And it's funny because around the same time, I was deciding to watch Arcane because of the music video for Enemy by Imagine Dragons and JID. I just love this so much. Colin, I need you to watch it because you appreciate animation in a way similar to me, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
You also might not be anti-black. That's up in the air. We'll figure it out.
We'll find out.
Yeah, I think you like it. It's on your 10-minute take list, but that's always random. Okay. Great TV special movie thing. Go watch it. Colin.
Me.
What
are we on, number 6?
Yeah.
Is Nope.
Hey, Skip.
Okay.
Nice. My number 6 is Prey.
Oh, Skip. I knew that was going to... Oh, you skip?
Yeah.
Hey.
Crazy. All right, number 5, guys. Top 5.
We are in the top 5. My computer's slow, and I didn't expect 2 skips.
Nobody did.
Right? 2 back-to-back skips. Crazy. Oh, right. New Phone Who Died. My number 5 is The Black Phone.
Oh, Lord.
Jesus.
New Phone Who Died.
That was real good.
Thank you. That's why I had to wait to find it. I wrote that down, and I was like, I need to find what my intro was for this. I was waiting for this movie for a while. It got pushed back a couple times, and I was just patiently waiting. Like, they're going to put it out. It looks dope. I know it will be. And it is. It is directed by Scott Derrickson and is written by Scott Derrickson and C. Robert Cargill. It's based on The Black Phone by Joe Hill. I just got to say, to all the horror directors out there, not all of them, most of them, step your game up because Scotty D ain't playing with you niggas. This movie is so good. The casting, the performances, the story. Mason Thames? Like the river?
Yeah.
I don't know. Him, Madeline McGraw, Ethan Hawke, they're the stars. They're all amazing. Madeline McGraw plays the little sister. She's scrappy. She gangsta. She about that action. Not in a hocus pocus, I'm a blood, die like a man kind of way, but just like an I'll ride for my brother kind of way. Man, this movie's so good. Ethan Hawke, he scared the hell out of me in this movie. The way he wears the mask, the way he does his face without the mask, the way he speaks, everything about him, there's this weird, it feels real. And I don't like it because these type of things happen. And
Dallas.
What's up?
What about the ghosts?
What about the ghosts?
I mean, there's debate about if those things happen. There's, it's kind of...
I feel you. That's the interesting thing about it. And I think that's what drew me to the movie. Because if it's just a movie about a dude who kidnapped kids and kidnaps some kid, I don't want to watch that. But the ghost element of it is what made me want to watch it. It works very well. And the fact that even with a bunch of ghosts using up this boy's minutes, even with that being in the movie, it still has an authenticity because of Ethan Hawke's performance, Mason's performance. The way that everything else is structured feels very real. Like you said about Fresh, it doesn't rely on blood or gore or jump scares. I love that in my horror because I'm the type of horror fan, like Colin, who doesn't really like jump scares or blood and gore. It builds tension super well. I was sitting in the AMC thinking, like, fear doesn't feel good in a place like this. It's fantastic. And also, there's a point in the movie where we all cheered like we were watching a Marvel movie. And that's not common for horror, except for Doctor Strange, because that's horror and Marvel. But just a straight up horror movie that had the audience cheer like that, bonus points. Great movie. If you like horror, watch it. If you pretend you don't like horror, like Colin, maybe don't watch it. You're not ready for that yet. But one day, Colin, one day.
No, absolutely not.
But that's the Black Phone. Love it. Moving on. Colin, what starts off your top 5?
My number 5, I imagine will get skipped, is Bullet Train.
Hey, it is getting skipped.
Yep.
I like that. I like this overlap we got going, Colin.
My number 5 is not getting skipped. It's The Tragedy of Macbeth.
Ooh.
It has been on my list all year. Came out like in early January on Apple TV Plus. Man, that movie is so good.
Is this a Denzel one?
Yep.
Okay.
It's so freaking good. I'm a fan of Shakespeare. I like Shakespeare plays more so than when I watch them, obviously, because they're plays. They're meant to be watched, not to be read.
Right.
It's so good. The production design is brilliant. The cinematography, brilliant. The acting, brilliant. Everything about this movie is so freaking good. Man, I just so highly recommend it. Denzel Washington gives probably my favorite performance that I've ever seen from him. It's just insane how good this movie is. And it's done by one of the Coen brothers. And it really just, I feel like when I think of the Coen brothers, that's not the type of movie that I think of.
Fair.
He directed the hell out of that movie. I was so happy that Denzel Washington got an Oscar nom for that film. I was like, you're probably not going to win this year because of, who you're up against.
Mm.
He's so good in this movie. Like, I don't even know what else to say about it. It's legitimately just everything is good. And if you know it, but it's a Shakespeare play. So if you know Shakespeare, you know what you're getting yourself into anyway. This was my first experience watching Macbeth. I've tried to read the play before and then I stopped, not because I was bored, but I just put the book down and just never went back to it. But as my first experience with Macbeth, I'm really happy that it was, because you really felt and understood everything that was happening in the film.
Mm-hmm.
Probably also helps, yeah, like I said, it's a play. It's meant to be seen, not read. Somebody pointed out to me that plays don't really have a lot of scene direction, or at least, Shakespeare plays definitely don't have a lot of scene direction. And usually those types of actions can help you to understand what the dialogue is saying. Because I'm not well versed in Shakespeare dialogue. That's not something that I understand off the top of my head. But seeing people act it out and hearing the tone and seeing what actions are being conveyed really helps to understand what's being said and what is being done on screen. Highly recommend. So good. That is The Tragedy of Macbeth. It is on Apple TV Plus.
Nice.
Number 4.
Number 4. I said I thought Demi was going to skip me twice. It was at number 10 and number 4. My number 4 is Glass Onion, A Knives Out Mystery.
My number 4 is also Glass Onion, A Knives Out Mystery.
Very close to a skip, but not quite.
Not quite. Let's talk about Glass Onion, A Knives Out Mystery.
Do it.
So good. Amazing.
Yes.
Fantastic. Phenomenal. Rian Johnson doesn't miss, as I've said several times on this podcast already. He made one of my favorite Star Wars movies. He has made one of my favorite mystery movies. Well, he made several of my favorite mystery movies, actually.
Yeah, at this point.
Yeah,
at least 3,
he's made 3.
Yeah, so y'all know, directed and written by Demi's boy, Rian Johnson.
Hey.
Starring Daniel Craig, Edward Norton, Janelle Monáe, and a bunch of other dope people. This movie's great.
It's so good.
It's everything I wanted from another Knives Out movie. It's Daniel Craig still being fantastic. A mystery that I'm not even going to try to solve. I'm just going to go along for the ride. It's
I never try and solve a mystery. Just go with it.
It's peak Rian Johnson comedy. It's a new cast of great actors playing really entertaining characters.
And often horrible people.
He does like to do that. It's just so good. It's funny. It's captivating. I love Captain Han. I love Janelle Monáe, Leslie Odom Jr. Madeline Klein I had never seen before, but I would like to keep seeing her. It's just so many things about it to love. It's
such a great mystery. Rian Johnson is so good at writing these mystery stories, and I don't understand how, because I don't think I could ever do it. I feel like I would just overdo it, or I would tip my hand too much as to what's going on, and just I never feel that way with the mysteries that he writes. I didn't feel that way with Brick. I didn't feel that way with the first Knives Out, and I don't feel that way about Glass Onion. My favorite thing is, I remember when I saw Murder on the Orient Express, that I liked the movie, but one of the drawbacks for me was that I didn't understand how Clouseau came to his reasonings. But sorry, Poirot. Clouseau is a different one.
Yeah, another
Poirot. I didn't understand how Poirot came to like the conclusions that he came to.
Because they don't make any sense.
None at all. Like he would pick up like a clue and be like, "Oh yes, I should do this," and I'm like, "How did you figure that out? What was what was the path?
I hate the ending of that movie so much.
No, the ending of the movie is fine. I just didn't understand how any of these clues got solved.
I hate the ending only because of those things. Like, wait a minute, how did we get here? What if his name was this before? Like, that's not detective work.
How'd you get here?
You're guessing.
But like, that's not how I feel about the Knives Out movies.
Right.
I feel like I'm understanding how Benoit Blanc comes to his conclusions. Everything makes sense. Rian Johnson will show us the things that he has already, like all the seeds that he's planted.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh, this makes total sense.
Right.
Of course, this was always leading to that. And I like when movies are able to do that. I think that's the sign of a really good mystery is that you can go back and be like, oh, that seed was there the whole time. It was right in front of your face.
Mm-hmm.
The clue is right there in front of your face at all times.
Right. I'm
glad that he changed up the format from Knives Out. As we mentioned in our review for the movie, we talked about how Knives Out kind of tells you, here's what happened. Here's the person who did the murder. And then it's like, now the murderer has to not get caught.
Mm-hmm.
But this time around, it's legitimately just, no, this is a murder mystery. We're going to get to know these characters. Somebody's going to get murdered, and we're going to try and figure out who did it.
Yeah. One of my friends was asking me about it. He was asking something about, like, if they reinvented or something like that, like the first one did. And I said, well, in terms of, like, mystery format, it's more straightforward in terms of someone did this thing, who did it. But they still do different and new things with it, which keep it great.
Yeah, Rian Johnson is really good at subverting whatever he's doing, which is one of my favorite things about him.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun. You never know what you're going to expect when you start subverting things that people are so used to. But he still uses the tropes to like their most efficient form.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, Daniel Craig just having so much fun as Benoit Blanc. He's so good. And he'll be amazing in the third film. My only complaint really is that this movie didn't stay in theaters for longer.
Yeah.
Like Netflix, you don't want to make money? What's wrong? Like,
yeah, it would have been nice to keep it a little bit longer. But, you know.
Yeah, because we were trying to figure out how to see that one. We were like, okay, well, what day works? We only have a week.
We can't miss this week window.
Nah, makes me sad that it's not really a theatrical movie anymore, but it's so good. So amazing. But yeah, it's my number 4, which is cool because it was my number 4 on my most anticipated list last year.
Oh, look at that.
You know what you're about.
All right. Number 4 for Colin.
Oh, man, I forgot that was you because Demi was talking at the end there. Let's see. My number 4, congratulations, Dallas, is Honk for Jesus, Save Your Soul.
Yay! Let's go. Let's
fucking talk about it. That movie, I think it goes so high on my list because it was more than I was expecting it to be.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, that trailer was like, hey, this is going to be a fun comedy about a mega church pastor trying to like get back into people's good graces. And it's like, yeah, I knew there were going to be there was some kind of like allegation, something like that. But, I didn't know what it was. I figured it'd be like money laundering or something. But then they got into it and I was like, oh, not only did you do stuff in the past, you're kind of still up to some shit. And it's like, oh, man. And
your
like,
wife is suffering for it.
Regina Hall fucking slaps.
So good.
Amazing.
In that movie.
Incredible in that movie.
Man, that final act where she is in the mime makeup the entire time, but still you take that monologue seriously.
That's the thing. Like, giving a monologue in that makeup, like, man, you made that work.
Yeah. Regina Hall is brilliant.
Yeah. If she don't get an Oscar nom, then I got to fight Oscar.
I don't think she's getting an Oscar nom. We got to fight Oscar.
I'm ready to fight him.
Listen, I'm going to fight Oscar for a different reason, which will come up in a later episode this week. But
Oscar's getting jumped this year.
We're going to talk about it.
Listen. The first blow has already been struck. Thank you, Will Smith. So you can do whatever now.
Oh, man. Yes. Honk for Jesus, Save Your Soul. I remember when Dallas first sent that trailer and he was like, we have to go see this together. And he was so right because it was so great to see it all. It was so great to see it, all three of us together, because we all laughed so hard.
Yeah.
I especially loved seeing it with Dallas because me and Dallas both grew up in Black churches. So
my biggest regret, and it's not really something I could have fixed, is that I didn't get to watch this in a theater full of Black people.
Oh, man.
Because that would be a very different experience. Like, this is a movie that I wish I could have seen in Atlanta. When the needle drops in this movie, never would have made it. Let the praise begin. Like, it triggered a black church nostalgia in my soul that made the movie that much more
I
enjoyable.
still go to black church, so it's just. But yeah, it's so good. The drama is really well done. The comedy is amazing. Nuck If You Buck scene is probably one of the best scenes of the year. Top
100%.
top
scene is
5.
good.
100%
sure.
one of the best scenes of the year.
Oh my gosh. It's such a good scene.
I immediately went home and put them both on my actors list after that movie because of that scene.
Oh, man. We were talking about the drama, which we did not anticipate.
No.
I like the way that they did the character arcs in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Because definitely wasn't expecting the character arcs to be as deep as it was. And the commentary on some of the hypocritical things that happen in churches. And I feel like that's not just black churches. I feel like just because, you know, the directors are black, the writers are black. So obviously, like, that's what they know. So it's going to be based in a black church.
Yeah.
It's not a race thing. It's legitimately just like a systemic thing. And I like the commentary that they were making on that.
It's so good. To be honest, I feel a little bit tricked, maybe blindsided by the fact that this movie is more than I expected it to be.
I like that, though.
I like it and I don't, because it's just like, man, I was not ready for that. I was here to laugh, and I did. But there are some scenes in the movie that made me more uncomfortable than I've been in a while watching a movie. And that is a testament to the movie's quality. But man, you could have tipped me off a little bit. Adama Igbo. Can you give me a little warning?
Nah.
I guess not. Great movie. Black excellence. Oscar, we scrapping. Keep Regina Hall's name on your list.
All right, guys. Top 3, top 3.
Top 3, top 3, top 3. We are in the top 3.
Dallas, what's your number 3?
So the reason that when I talk about the Black Phone, I said horror directors, step your game up. And that said, wait, no, not all horror directors, some horror directors. Because my number 3 is Nope.
Yeah.
Jordan Peele is that dude. Also, when I decided to start this with, I want to see if Colin beats the allegations. The allegation in my mind wasn't anti-blackness.
Oh.
It was that Colin is a horror fan. And Colin continues to deny these allegations.
Yeah.
But Nope was on your list too, right, Colin?
Yes.
Colin is not beating the allegations, ladies and gentlemen.
I struggle to call Nope a horror movie.
I don't see why. It's
because
horror. It's scary.
Okay, so to me,
there's a whole jump scare sequence.
Halfway through that movie, not even halfway, I don't even know, the main character stopped being horrified and start being like, no, we're into this, let's go. And so to me, I don't know, it doesn't feel like a horror movie. Like it can be tense, but their whole plan for the latter half of that movie is like, I don't know, like we're not scared anymore. We're going to just do this.
I see what you mean. It definitely has a different tone after a certain point. But for me, that's just Jordan Peele being so good at coloring outside the lines and thinking outside the box and all these other cliches that people say with the genre. Because before that, it's every kind of horror movie. Sci-fi horror, what's in this room horror, don't go in there horror, straight up horrifying, blood is raining down from the sky onto everything horror. I think Jordan Peele just does things in a very different way, and I love that. But he's also had to not deal with like it's some kind of major issue, but he's made horror movies and people would say like, oh, it's not really a horror movie. Which is why when Us was coming out, he tweeted, Us is a horror movie. Don't play with me. But I see what you mean. But yes, it is a horror movie. Because that scene with the blood just raining down is one of the most horrifying things I've seen in a while. Just from the sound of it, the screams, the lighting, God, it's cinema.
Is that the same scene? No, that's a different scene. I was thinking if that was the same scene as the one where we see like what happens to the things that get eaten,
No, that was a little bit later.
It's a little bit later, yeah.
So the audience knows why they're screaming, but
yeah, at that point we know. And that also for me adds to the horror about it because now I know what's going on.
Oh yeah.
And it's just surprised it's the first time I brought him up, but shout out to Cinema Wins on YouTube, one of my favorite YouTubers. He did a video for this. I always love watching his videos on movies that I like because things that I didn't pick up on, I watch and I think, oh my God, like the way that Jean Jacket moves and the sounds, you know, we watch the movie and we think, oh, that's a flying saucer. So you hear the like roar kind of like the noise.
Yeah.
Those are screams. And that is horrifying. Like there's certain scenes when you realize what that sound is like, oh my God, that's a nightmare. I got to give flowers. Keke Palmer killed it. Daniel Kaluuya killed it. Brandon Perea, never seen him before, but he killed it. The Alien, killed it.
The Alien.
Michael
killed
Abels, Jordan Peele, everybody, killed it. Keith David, for that 2 minutes he was on screen, killed it.
Shout out to whoever designed the Alien jean jacket, because I've seen a lot of people like critique the design of the alien because they're like, what? That's such a whack alien, blah, blah, blah. It's like, you know, it looks like a sheet or whatever. But like, I really like that.
I like the creativity of it.
Yeah. It's like what I said about fantasy shows and the fantasy genre. Like, we in our head have this idea of what this particular thing must look like,
Right.
or has to be in order to fit into this category. And I like the fact that it was like, nah, our alien's gonna look like a UFO, but also gonna be able to transform into something else at the same time. Like, that's wild. It's an extraterrestrial being. Like, it's not gonna be like us.
Right. It's not gonna look like a little dude with a big head and black eyes.
Aliens can look like whatever I want it to.
But it doesn't have to.
Yeah, shout out to that whoever did the concept for that, because whoo boy, what a wild concept to create.
So many things I love about this. I love that Jordan Peele got my scared ass friends to go watch a horror movie with me in the theater.
That's true.
That was such a great experience.
That is true.
Watching with you guys in the theater full of people.
I mean, especially like, you talk about cheering.
Yeah.
The jump scare sequence.
Oh my God.
Oh.
When Daniel Kaluuya throws that punch, I feel like I don't even need Nicole. I just need the moments like that. Watching movies like this in a full theater, like full of people, is all AMC needs to remind me of for me to go watch a movie. I don't need Nicole to say, hey, the heroes are big, heartbreak feels good, I got a pinstripe suit on under my hoodie. Just remind
some
me.
of my R's and not some of the other ones.
Shout out to Nicole. But just everything about that experience was great. Like, that's what I go to the movies for. From the reactions to the Smile trailer to the actual end of this movie was just fantastic. Also, bonus points for that mix of Sunglasses at Night.
Yes, I was thinking about that just now too.
Yo, I'm going to credit it to Michael Abels because he does the music for all of Jordan Peele's movies. That chopped and screwed Sunglasses at Night was so fire. I went on Spotify and downloaded it immediately. I love this movie so much. Like, I feel like they should show it in classes of how to build tension. Every scene, especially ones with Daniel Kaluuya, the tension building is on point. Bonus points for the Akira slide. Bonus points for the let's go, boy, high five scene.
Yes, the high
Kiki and Daniel. Just bonus points all around.
Yeah, bonus points for Keke Palmer being in this movie, period, because she's so good.
I love her. I'm so happy about what this movie turned out to be because it was everything I wanted it to be, and I love it. And it is the main reason that Colin is not beating the allegations today.
If you would just stop alleging, you bitch.
Speaking of Colin,
what's your number 3?
Y'all some hoes.
I didn't say anything.
She didn't say anything.
All right, that's fair. Demi is not a hoe. Dallas is a hoe. Anyway, my number 3 is Prey.
Hey,
let's go.
Like, I don't give a shit about the Predator. I ain't seen none of them movies, and I don't really need to see none. No, I did see the last one, 2018.
Yeah, we saw
K. Brown.
The Predator.
But who cares about that one? That's not this. This slaps. I think because it was set earlier in time, and so the resources that the people being hunted by the Predator had available to them were less than... They don't have missiles. They don't have machine guns. They don't have helicopters and shit. And so it's like, okay, this makes this more interesting, more tense.
I think this is because you've never seen the original Predator movie. That's what the original Predator movie is all about. I think what really works for Prey is that it goes back to the basics of what makes Predator movies good, which is that your protagonist shouldn't be able to take the Predator in a fight. The only way to succeed against a Predator is by outthinking it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it doesn't matter if you have guns or anything like that. The whole original Predator movie is army people against the Predator, but only one of them is able to take it, and it's because he outthinks it.
Right.
And the same thing happens here in Prey. Prey is so good. It's so well done. I agree. I love the going back to a different time period to see how somebody else would handle the Predator without having as much resources as we do. I like that in the aftermath of Prey coming out, a lot of people have been like, this is what the Predator series should be. It should be just the Predator taking on different people in different time periods. So like the Predator taking on like a samurai.
Right.
Like all sorts of like...
I would be so down.
I watched that.
They should definitely make the Predator series just that from now on, because that would be so much fun. And then maybe like at one point you can probably do one that takes place in a contemporary time as well. That's hopefully just as good as what Prey did. By the way, I also have not seen this movie in English yet. So, and yet it is still my number 6. I watched the Comanche dub.
Right.
First, because I heard that was like the quintessential version to check out. And then I never found time to go back and actually watch it in English. Amber Midthunder is amazing in this
She
movie.
is so fire in this movie. She's
Yeah.
fantastic.
She's the lead, and she's like the person who we follow the whole time. She's most of the screen time, and she carries this movie on her back, and she does it well.
Also, trying to think, who plays the brother? Is it Dakota Beavers?
Maybe?
I think so.
I think I'm gonna say that's him. Also fantastic, and I love what they do with the big brother character because it so easily could be, stop hanging around me. I don't want you. You're a woman. Go back to the kitchen. Blah 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 blah. Like
Mhm.
the rest of the nameless other people who are there to get murked. But he's great. He cares about his sister. Cares in a way that I believe in you. But when you show me that you might be a little reckless, you got concussed because you fell out of a tree trying to fight a mountain lion. I had to carry you back. I don't want you out here trying to find whatever big ass thing is killing animals out there. I want you to stay home because I think, first of all, you got a concussion. And second, I don't want to lose my sister right now. I'm all for you having your big hunt, but maybe now's not the time. You ain't built like that yet. Just take your time. Toward the end, when they come together, to fight the White Devils and obviously the Predator, it's just such a great team sequence. The sibling bond, it's great. His last line that he says, it hits you in the heart. I watched this again a week ago. That's why it's like fresh in my mind. It's really good.
Colin, which one did you watch? Did you watch it in English or the Comanche?
English.
I really got to watch the English version, but I just really wanted to see the Comanche.
Right.
I do want to give a shout out to the director, Dan Trachtenberg, because I feel like this is the way that you make a movie about a different culture and respect it.
Okay.
Because, I mean, Dan Trachtenberg is a white dude. He's certainly not Native American. And yet, he did what I guess a lot of people would say is difficult to do. He cast almost an entire cast of Native American actors. Not only did he shoot the movie in English, he shot it in Comanche.
Right.
So that he could release that dub as well, so that it could be done in one of their languages. Because obviously, like Native Americans, they're not a monolith. There are very many different tribes, and they all have very different languages.
Right.
Like this is like the way that it should be done and the way that it can be done. And like there's no excuse not to do it that way.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say about Prey, Colin? Especially since you're not an action movie fan.
Right. I mean, I'm not, but I think the thing about action movies for me is if action movie is a lot of shooting and a lot of explosions, I get bored really quick. Because this couldn't be that, the action felt more like, I don't want to say intimate, but kind of, Like if the action is like melee fighting, it hits more for me.
Okay. I get that.
Colin's not here for that ranged weaponry. You better be ready to fight him in person.
Throw hands.
Throw hands or blades.
Yeah.
I feel it.
All right, I guess that takes me to my number 3. I feel like my top 3 literally is just a tie for number 1 because you could flip these top 3 in any order and I'd be like, yeah, that works.
I feel you on that.
I just had to put it in an order for this podcast. So, but yeah, my number 3 is Everything Everywhere All at Once, which I
Skip that shit.
Damn. Number 2.
Number 2, we in the top
Jealous.
2. It's funny that you say that because now I'm thinking about my top 3 and it's like, yeah, I kind of feel that.
Right, yeah, it doesn't matter what order I put it in. I'm like, yeah, it works.
Right, like you ask me on certain days and it might switch. But the day that we're recording this, my number 2, funny we talked about Colin not liking action movies, is Bullet Train.
I haven't seen that one yet. Still.
I know, and that's part of the reason.
Wait, you still haven't seen it?
I
Yeah,
wanted to,
It's on Netflix.
I wanted to do it before we did this list, and I didn't have time because I was editing every other episode that we've been recording.
Someday soon.
Because I don't want to put it on in the background. I want to be able
It's
to pay
not a
attention
background
to
movie.
it.
There's a lot of moving pieces to this movie. Yeah, Bullet Train, directed by David Leitch, one of my new favorite filmmakers. Screenplay by Zach Okowitz and based on Maria Beetle by Kotaro Isaka. And it stars Brad Pitt, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Brian Tyree Henry, and so many dope people. Oh my God, I love this movie so much. It feels like it was made for me. Like it's an action comedy made by David Leitch, produced by Antoine Fuqua, apparently.
Oh, nice.
Right? The cast, Brian Tyree Henry, one of my favorite people. Michael Shannon, Hiroyuki Sanada. Always stumble on that name. Aaron Taylor Johnson, in my favorite performance of his by far. The movie had me laughing the whole time, aside from the points where it's like tragic backstory. The action's fantastic because I am now a huge proponent of let the people who do the stunts coordinate the action. Because every David Leitch movie I've seen has fantastic action. Because he does this. He is him. He's about that stunt life. Let him coordinate your stunts.
Or his team.
Yeah, he's just so good. It's super violent, but in a way that feels, I'm just going to say irreverent. It's not my favorite word to use, but I can't think of another way. Colin, you watched it with me the second time I watched it. The montage of Brian Tyree Henry and Aaron Taylor Johnson when they're telling the story and they're counting the people that they killed, and then it goes back and we relive it. Oh my God, stuff like that is fantastic. I need and want, immensely desire, a spinoff about Lemon and Tangerine. Brian Tyree Henry and Aaron Taylor Johnson make this movie for me. And that says a lot because it's full of great characters. The best way I can describe it is just so much fun. Because, like, the visuals are fun. The way they introduce the characters, you see a character and then it blazes their name on the screen in, like, neon lights. Tangerine, Lemon, insert other character here. The Prince, Ladybug. The fact that everybody has these names also adds to the level of fun for me. It's not just, oh, so-and-so is Maria. It's like, no, Sassy Beats is the Hornet. It's like, yeah, I love that. Also, I don't know the source material well enough to know if I should give credit to Kotaro or to Zach Okowitz, who wrote the screenplay, but the moving pieces in this movie work together so well. It's on some Ryan Johnson Knives Out type stuff. Like, there's a reveal at the end where we kind of find out what ties these people together. It all works together in a way that I don't think I really had any lingering questions. At least none that were significant. Nothing like that felt like a plot hole. It's funny because it's kind of like when we watch The Menu and we expect to get reasoning that makes sense for why all these people are here.
No.
And they completely subvert that, like, nah, this guy's just crazy. But in this movie, we actually get reasoning that makes sense, which I like both for different reasons. But yeah, I just love everything about it. The action's great. The comedy's great. The performances are all great. It's on Netflix, guys. Watch it if you've... It's funny because I watched this movie and I was like, I don't know if Colin's going to like it. Because there are certain things that I watch and they remind me of other things that I watch. And Colin won't like one thing, but he'll really like the next thing. Colin liked this movie way more than I expected him to.
The problem is...
What's the problem?
That no one, including me, knows what I'm going to like.
That's fair.
Colin does not have a wheelhouse.
That's fair. Because I want to say, like, yeah, if you've seen David Leitch's work and you like it, you'll probably like this. Deadpool 2, Atomic Blonde, Hobbs and Shaw. Try Venn diagram. I feel like some of the best parts of all those meet in the middle to make Bullet Train for me. If you're not Colin, you know what you like. And if it sounds like something you like, I definitely recommend it. It's on Netflix right now. Watch it before they get rid of it. We're going to get to me to watch it at some point because I want to share this with her.
I'm going to watch it as soon as I find time.
3 hours that you used to watch Blonde, you could have spent less time watching Bullet Train and probably had a better time.
I don't
Definitely
think
would have had a better time.
Probably, but I don't think it was available anywhere when Blonde came out. I don't think it was in theaters anymore, and I don't think it was on Netflix yet.
Probably not by that point. Yeah. But yeah, that's my number 2, which could have been my number 1.
Colin, what's your number 2?
My number 2, Dallas just mentioned it. It's The Menu.
Hey!
I want to talk about like a movie made for you. This was a movie made for me. Oh my God. Basically from beginning to end, there was like nothing I disliked, nothing I was like on. It was just such a good time. Such a fucking wild movie. Like I knew it was going to be. That was what the trailer promises. Like rich people go to an island and shit gets weird.
Yeah.
And yes, that's exactly what it was. It was just the way that it's a movie about a fancy dinner. So the way they show the food is exactly as you would expect. The close-ups, great camera work, the listing of the ingredients, which they played with a few times hilariously.
One of my favorite things about it is the way that they play with that. Because, you know, they list ingredients the first couple of times and it's, you know, ingredients. And then it just starts to go off the rails.
Yup. Like, that's the thing about this movie is it just keeps going off the rails and it never gets back on.
No.
Like, it's definitely one of those movies that, like, I think is best seen if you know nothing about it because it just goes places that I was not expecting.
Yeah, I had such a great time watching that movie and was so upset that it wasn't going to make my top 10 list because I was just like, this is so... There were so many good movies this year that I was just like, I really wish that this was still on my list to talk about. And The Menu was one of those ones where I was a little afraid that I was not going to get to talk about it. It's so good! And I love the cast. Yeah, it was just wild, but it was also so original and it was a really good satire. Such good thematic messaging about art and about passions in general, which I talked about in our review. You guys can check out that review. This whole episode is really just us plugging all of our reviews for all these movies.
It is what I expected and it isn't. Because, you know, you watch the trailer and you think, I mean, yeah, you pretty much told us what we're getting into. But there's no way to know exactly what we're getting into with this movie. Ralph Fiennes was in his bag.
I think this movie made me an Anya Taylor-Joy fan.
I've slowly been becoming an Anya Taylor-Joy fan, and she is a certified scream queen, which I love because she's done this, which is not a straight-up horror movie or anything like that.
But it is kind of a horror movie.
It's horrifying, and there's definitely some moments that would make you scream. She's done Last Night in Soho, The New Mutants, The Vovitch. She's a scream queen. Oh, Split. the one that actually like found her.
That's right. Yeah.
It's great. Cast is great. Bonus points for Hong Chau's delivery of the word tortilla. Probably my favorite moment in the movie.
Bonus points for Amy Carrero being in this movie. Love
She was
her.
in my other favorite part of the movie, student loans.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so good and ridiculous. Everything Colin said, yeah, that. Nicholas Hoult was great in this movie, despite how much I hate his character.
God.
He played it so well.
It was written so well. It's a character that's written to not be liked.
Anya Taylor-Joy's character resonates with me so much in that room full of nonsense. Great movie. Fun times.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it yet, you should definitely try and check it out.
Yeah, don't look up the trailer. Just go in. It's about food. That's all you need to know. It's about a restaurant. You like food? Go watch the menu. You eat? Don't know what food is?
Oh my gosh. All right.
No, Dallas, we've been over this. Literally feet off the deck.
All right.
Okay, my number 2 is The Batman, which was my number 1 most anticipated movie of the year last year. This is my favorite Batman movie that's ever been made. But I kind of figured it would be from the moment that they started casting. Once that cast list came out, I was like, oh, this is a Batman movie for me. Actually, you know what? No, I had a good feeling before there was even a cast. Back when Matt Reeves first signed on, back when we were in the Ben Affleck, Matt Reeves, like the transitioning period, that very confusing period of not knowing what the Batman movie was even going to be anymore.
Right, yeah.
But I knew from the moment that Matt Reeves said, yeah, I'm going to make a detective Batman movie.
Mm-hmm.
Once he said detective, I knew. I was like, oh, this is finally going to be the Batman movie for me, which I love the Christopher Nolan Batman movies.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was super excited about those at the time when they were coming out. I was a teenager. They're fantastic. I think they're great.
Mm-hmm.
This is probably my Batman movie because it dives deep into this is the world's greatest detective. I like that it's not a Batman origin movie, but it is still early on in Batman's career. I feel like we always, when we reboot superhero movies, we always default to doing an origin story when you don't necessarily have to. I think this is a good example of this, and Homecoming, Spider-Man Homecoming are really good examples of we don't necessarily have to do an origin story. We can start from somewhere in the middle.
Right.
And keep it pushing.
To be fair, though, did this one show the parents dying?
No. It was mentioned a lot. Cool. It is very much a present element of the film. Okay. But I like that we don't have to show it, but it's very present in the way that Bruce Wayne acts, in the things that he does. It's very much a big event that happened and affected everyone, but especially Bruce Wayne. Mm-hmm. This is my favorite portrayal of Batman and of Catwoman and of Batcat, which is my favorite Batman ship, followed closely behind by Batman and Talia.
Oof. The toxicity.
Hey, is that the one that the child is a product of some questionable things?
That's a retcon.
But yes, Colin.
Mm-hmm.
But yes.
Cool. Just making sure.
I don't accept that. I accept the original story of Batman and Talia, which does not consist of that.
Yeah, you just rotted her and baby popped up.
And they were married, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They've been married a couple times in comics.
Yeah, why not? Comics do that.
Comics do that. This is why you pick and choose what you consider canon.
Yeah, comics gonna do some comic stuff.
But yeah, I love Robert Pattinson's performance as Batman. This early Batman who is still like not really in control, very much just super emo. And that's what Batman is. Batman is the ultimate emo superhero.
Oh boy.
I love the gadgets. I love his suit. I love the way that this movie looks, the cinematography. Greg Fraser is one of my favorite cinematographers of right now. Between The Batman, Rogue One, Dune, all of his movies look freaking phenomenal. It's insane. But just this noir look that they've got for the Batman is beautiful. It is so well written. And Matt Reeves is just such a good director, just overall. It's the Batman movie that reminds me most of comic books that I've read of Batman.
Okay.
Which is why I think I love it more than the other ones. I'm like, yes, this is my Batman. This is like what I've read in comic books. And it takes elements of certain comics that I've read and weaves them in there very well.
Yeah, I do like that. For me, that's what makes it stand out from the Nolan ones, because there's a lot of similarities for me. But in terms of source material, actually wanting to embrace it instead of completely turning away from it.
Yeah.
This one does that in a way that I really enjoy. But also, it felt like I was watching a 3-hour episode of Mindhunter. And as someone who really misses that show, I appreciated that. Because that first shot when Riddler pops up, ironically, that's not something that would be on Mindhunter because they don't really do you're going to see the crime. But he feels like God. I've said it before. I'm still not going back on it. Paul Dano should maybe be locked up. Just in case. Just so we know. I haven't watched this Hot Ones episode yet. I'm going to watch it, look at his eyes, see if I see some
Something different.
some Riddler in there. But yeah, maybe lock him up.
This introduction to Batman, like Batman's introduction montage and his monologue, first off, super noir.
Yeah.
Also, super comic book.
Yeah.
Also, my favorite introduction to Batman in any movie, because that's what Batman feels like to me. When he's just like, I'm in the shadows. We see all these dark spaces, but you don't know which one Batman's going to pop out of, which makes him super frightening for criminals.
Right.
So good. I love the character arc that he goes through throughout the movie of realizing that what he's intending to do for the city has led to some very unfortunate consequences that he never intended, and that he has to find a new way to do what he's been doing.
Yeah.
It's so good. Also, Jeffrey Wright as... Listen, I could go on forever about how good of a Batman movie this is. Jeffrey Wright as Gordon.
He was great.
So good. And I think we were talking about Christopher Nolan earlier, and you were talking about how this particular Batman embraces the comic book elements. I was going to say, I can't see certain comic book things in Nolan's universe.
Right.
But as grounded as Matt Reeves's Batman universe is, I can at least see us slowly getting more into the fantastical nature of some of these things in the comic books, and I can see it being a part of that universe in a way that I could never do with Nolan.
Okay, yeah.
We were talking about like a potential Clayface movie. Maybe currently, right now, that would be weird.
Right.
But I feel like this series could evolve into things are getting weirder. And I would love to see that.
I would really much enjoy that. I would like that. I want to make it weird. Colin Farrell, yo. Stole the show for me.
Oh my God.
Can't wait for his Penguin
good.
show.
Colin Farrell. That whole scene with him, Batman, and Gordon. Favorite scene of the movie for me. It was so
Oh my
good.
God, that scene was so good.
No habla español, fellas. Your favorite shithead. Shut up.
Colin Farrell is a chameleon.
World's greatest detectives.
He's so great. I love him.
Also, I love the scene of them in the club. And he's just, and Batman's talking about the mayor being in the photo.
Look at man. Oh shit, it is. Look at that.
He's great. Colin Farrell's fantastic.
I can't wait for the Penguin show. And I can't wait to see what Matt Reeves does with the Batman sequel.
Yeah. He's doing the Arkham show too, right?
Yeah. Everything is involved in his unit. I don't know if he's like in charge of it, but obviously it's probably his brainchild. So
Yeah.
Still, that sounds like it's going to be dope as hell.
Yep, because Colin likes horror. Allegations.
I feel like it's going to be one of those things where like Matt Reeves' Batverse is going to have something for everybody.
I love that.
So like maybe you're not as into the Batman as I am.
Right.
But you'll probably be into the Arkham show far more than I am.
Yeah, that's my bag. Give me that.
But yeah, my number 2 is the Batman. But again, easily could have also been number 1. I actually debated for a very long time between these 3 movies as to what would actually be my number 1.
Yeah.
All right, guys, before we go into our number 1 movies of the year, I have Gaby's list. So I'm going to read that off to you.
See what the rom-coms is doing.
There actually aren't that many of them on here. I'm going to preface this with what she told me, which is she didn't see a lot of movies this year, but there are so many movies that she wants to watch. And they're starting to show up on streamers. So guys, this list is based on what she's seen. She says that she wished she'd seen Everything Everywhere All at Once because she feels like it would have been in her top 3, but alas, she has not. All right, so her list. Honorable mentions. The Bad Guys. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Hold on. I need a moment. Honorable mentions. Okay. You want to talk about allegations that someone ain't beaten?
She's 100% not beating the furry allegations.
I am not a furry guy.
Oh my gosh. Number 10, Vengeance. Number 9, Thor Love and Thunder. Number 8, The Batman. Number 7, The Lost City. Number 6, Persuasion. Number 5, Turning Red. Number 4, Enola Holmes 2. Number 3, Nope. Number 2, Bullet Train. And number 1, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever.
Gaby, I feel you. I see you.
No, you don't. You ain't seen her in a while.
You're more yiffy than I am, but...
We saw her on Wednesday. But that brings us to our number 1 movies.
Number 1.
Dallas, what's your number 1?
Number 1.
I think we have the same number 1.
Black Panther Wakanda Forever
My
is
number
my number
1 is also Black Panther Wakanda Forever.
Yes. It is directed by Ryan Coogler, my official favorite director. It is written by Ryan Coogler and Joe Robert Cole. Stars Letitia Wright, Lupita Nyong'o, Denai Guerrera, everybody.
The squad.
That we love. Colin, this movie's on your list?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about that. Because when we talked about the movie, after watching it, the way you were speaking, it didn't really sound like this is going to be in my top 10 list. This is going to be above the cannibalism that I love so much.
I don't love cannibalism. So that explains that.
What is it about this movie that you like now that you didn't really articulate with us last time?
I like that this movie didn't, aside from the parts where it really did, it didn't really feel like it had to be, you had to know the MCU and all these connections, blah, 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 blah.
And those scenes you could have cut out anyway.
Right.
Honestly, yeah, like those scenes you could have done without them and it would have been fine. And I like that this was so focused on Wakanda and I can't remember.
Delica?
Help me out here, Demi. Thank you.
Yeah, Dallas got there first. He finally got there. He finally knows it.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you.
I've been saying it a lot lately.
Also, like, MCU comedy is kind of hit or miss for me, but when it hits, it hits.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
some of the stuff in this movie really hit.
It hits real.
And honestly, it's just like, Black people make everything better. I don't
Exactly.
know.
That's what I was going to say. Like, it hits really well in Ryan Coogler's movies because Black people make everything better. We're funny. We're great actors. We look fantastic. As if you've talked to Demi about Lupita Nyong'o lately,
Stop it.
you know
That's not true.
there's
It's a little true, but it's
no, I
not
was about to say, don't lie to the
really
people.
true.
You're not beating those allegations to me.
You noticed it. You called it out.
So did a bunch of other people.
A bunch of people did.
Yeah, I don't care about other people.
It's not just
I don't
me.
know them
Jordan
people.
has brought it up like several times without me having to bring it up.
Listen,
so it's
that's
not just
great.
me.
I'm talking about you. We're talking about you
No,
and your interests.
shut up. You know I'm deleting this out of the podcast.
Demi, this is so we need this is great content.
Anyway, let's talk about the movie, shall we?
Okay. It's great. I love it. It's what I thought it was going to be. Black Panther is, for me, the best MCU movie.
I agree with you.
Yeah, and this, it's up there. Obviously, there are certain elements that we can't do again. Rest in peace, Chadwick. But the way that we get around that to this other incredible story, because I've heard Ryan Coogler say a couple times, he had written Black Panther 2 before Chadwick passed away.
He was going to send it to Chadwick to look over.
Yeah, so I don't even know what the story was that we were going to get, but the fact that you can...
It was still going to be versus Namor. And I think he said it was going to be about T'Challa dealing with the grief that comes with what happened in Endgame and that loss of 5 years and stuff like that.
But yeah, the fact that like something so horrific can happen to derail everything and you can still come away with this amazing movie.
Yeah.
Ryan Coogler's that dude.
Yeah, when we reviewed it, I said it's miraculous that this movie came out to be as great as it did with all the production issues that they went through. From losing Chadwick to Letitia constantly getting injured. I think she got injured a couple of times, which shut down production for a few months. COVID, all sorts of things went down during this production, and just they still pushed forward and they still created such a beautiful and fantastic movie. This is now in my top 3 favorite MCU movies, if you consider the fact that my number 1 is a tie between 2 different movies.
Right.
So technically 4. But yeah, I think I debated for a long time whether or not it was going to be this one or the Batman. Because the Batman I have less critiques of.
Okay.
But Black Panther I decided was my number 1 because I've had a hard year, guys. I've been dealing with a lot of grief for about 6 months now. 7 months? 6, 7 months, 7 months. This movie gave me a catharsis.
Yeah.
That I had not felt because I felt seen in that moment. More than I would have liked to.
Fair.
But I saw myself on that screen, particularly in Shuri. And in the way that she was dealing with her grief and the anger that came with it and all the complex emotions that come with that. I don't think a lot of genre movies deal with grief in that way. Drama movies do because that's what dramas are for. Like there's nothing really else going on. But when you've got superhero movies, typically somebody dies and we don't really have time to deal with that.
We're in the battle. We got to keep going.
Yeah, okay, we got one scene where we get to deal with the fact that somebody's dead, and now it's time to move on to what we've got to do to go forward.
Right.
This entire movie is about the loss of somebody. And so for 2 hours and 40 some odd minutes, we are dealing with loss and we are dealing with grief and we are watching in depth how it affects people in the way that you normally only see in dramas.
Right.
And Ryan Coogler does it so well.
Does it so well.
I said this in our review as well. You guys can just go listen to our review. There is that feeling of that when people are speaking in this movie, sometimes it's not them acting. Sometimes it's just like that. That line doesn't feel like it was just written as, well, we need a line here. It was, this is how I'm feeling right now in this exact moment. Shuri crying for her mom in the middle of the movie, I almost broke down. That was what got me. Like I was got several times.
Yeah.
Cried at least 3 times during this movie, once within the first 5 minutes of it. But that one I was just like, oh no. It took me 3 watches of this movie to finally stop crying during a viewing of it.
I mean, I get that. It pulls no punches. We start right in it.
Which I did not expect.
No. With losing T'Challa, dealing with us losing Chadwick. And then, of course, following that, we get the Marvel Studios logo with just shots of Chadwick
And listening to
and
the wind.
no music. So we hear the wind and we hear the audience we're sitting with crying, and that's it.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking, oh, Ryan, no. And then when we got to the point you just brought up, I was like, Ryan, no. Why are you doing this to us? You didn't hurt us enough. We're not feeling enough pain.
Right, we were already feeling enough. Now we have
Right.
to feel more. Also, the usage of silence in this movie, or just quiet, not necessarily silence, just
Right.
quiet.
The way it
Because
lets you sit with emotion.
yeah, like you were saying, the Marvel Studios logo doesn't have music, but it does have the sound of wind.
Mhm.
And the same with the final shot of Shuri when she's remembering T'Challa.
Hmm.
It's a lot of wind,
Yeah.
so you feel that almost emptiness. You feel that loss. Something is missing here
Right.
in the quiet. And that is kind of what grief feels like. Like, this is a visual interpretation of loss. I just remember there was something that I didn't mention. I might have mentioned it in the review, but I don't remember what it was. But now I can talk about it with spoilers.
Okay.
In the climax of the movie, Shuri versus Namor.
Mhm.
And after she's done her big final blow and she's like got the kill shot on him, that sequence, I love it so much because I was like, filmmaking. It's a visual medium.
Yeah.
Like, yes, we use dialogue and dialogue is fantastic, but it is a visual medium. Your thoughts, your ideas, your emotions are meant to be conveyed through visuals. And the way that Ryan does this, and it's so simple because we look at Namor
Mhm.
and then it rewinds through the movie for him. And it's like, here are all the things that led me to this moment.
Right.
Here are all the moments where I could have not made this decision and I could have stopped this from happening. This was the path. And he rewinds through it and it goes backwards all the way to the moment where we meet him in the ocean.
Hmm.
Or, well, when we meet him with Shuri and
Right.
Ramonda. And then it cuts to Shuri's face in that moment. We see Shuri recognizing the similarities between Talokan and Wakanda
Hmm.
and her coming to that realization that there is wonder and there is joy and they are the same as we are. And how can I possibly do this? Even though this is what I want, I feel this anger and I feel all this grief. How could I do this? How could I cause other people to feel the way that I feel right now when they are the same as me? No words, no dialogue, nothing needs to be said. It is all just a sequence of visuals that tells us everything we need to know about what they're thinking and what they're feeling and why they make the decisions that they make in the moments after that. Filmmaking, ladies and
Ryan
gentlemen.
Coogler is that dude.
I was like, oh, so good.
Ryan is that guy. He's him.
It's so simple. Sometimes the most effective things are like the simplest things. Like I said about the like the quiet. That's such a simple thing. You don't have
Right.
to add a lot of sound, but it's so effective in making people feel like something is missing and something is not
Mhm.
there. It's not having it there at all.
Right. You just have to sit there and deal with what you're feeling because you can't even be distracted by, oh, that's a really good score. Or, oh, that beat slaps. Or it's just, I'm sitting here thinking about what's just happened and I'm sad about it.
This is like what you should experience when you go see a movie. It's all the emotions that you should feel. You should be in tune with these characters and you should feel what they're feeling. You should relate to what they're feeling and you should be compelled and entertained by the story as well.
Mm-hmm.
And this movie does everything that it's supposed to do very well. I would cut out all the MCU tie-ins. I really would.
Yeah, let the movie stand on its own.
I understand why we have to do it though, because it's the
Yeah,
MCU.
they're building things.
They're building things.
They got to keep building. But yeah, the emotion, man, it hits. A wise woman once said, heartbreak feels good in a place like this.
I love that. Oh, that's so good.
Shout
But
out to Nicole.
Dallas, in the moment when I was watching that movie,
Mhm.
heartbreak did feel good in a place like that.
See, we're different people because for me, it just feels bad.
My thing is, I don't want to feel like real world heartbreak.
Right.
Listen, if I'm in a theater, I'm feeling heartbreak for some, except for halfway through Wakanda
Right.
Forever. But I'm experiencing heartbreak for some fictional characters. That'll go away.
Right.
I don't know when real world heartbreak will go away.
That feels bad in a place like everywhere.
Exactly. Colin, finish us off. What is your number one
Jesus.
movie?
Christ.
Finish this off, Colin.
That should be the new one for 2023.
Heartbreak feels bad in a place like everywhere. What we got, Colin? We know what it is.
I know what his
I'm
number
gonna
one
be
is.
cursed with Nicole. Anyway, my number one is Everything Everywhere All at Once.
So the funny thing is about Colin cutting me off at when I had it as my number 3.
Mhm.
It's fitting because I legitimately think that Everything Everywhere All at Once is actually the best movie that I've seen all year.
And here we are, at number one.
It is. It's the last movie we're talking about.
Yeah, because it fucking bangs. I don't know what to tell you. It's just, it's so fucking good with like just everything, like the themes in it and the way that they tie into like the action and shit. And it has like one of my favorite conflict resolution moments I've ever seen in anything.
Oh, yeah.
Right near the end.
I gotta watch that movie again.
Stephanie Shu just ate every second of that movie.
That's who I'm fighting an Oscar about. If Stephanie Shu don't get that Oscar nom, we got to fight, Oscar. We got to fight. What are we doing? What are we doing? That movie does not work without Stephanie Shu's performance.
Oh, not at all.
Right.
Michelle Yeoh is carrying, but she can't do it
sure.
without Stephanie Shu. And Ki Hui Kwan, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like that trio, you can't do this movie without them.
Yeah, they all play their parts.
Oh my gosh, I love that movie so much.
It's so good.
It's so unconventional and weird and wild, but also so emotionally poignant and just gets its message across so well, except for whoever tweeted that one tweet I saw last week where I was like, what are you talking about? That's not even correct. But
was that the one that was like, they made a movie about how it's okay to treat your family like garbage
Yes,
or
that
something,
tweet.
and then that was just so
it's
fucking
like you
weird.
purposefully misread this entire movie. You have to. It's so good. I like that we're making a lot more movies about generational trauma right now, especially within communities of marginalized people. Stephanie Shu's performance is incredible. Her audition for the movie is just as incredible. I was like, oh yeah, you had to cast her, which is crazy because she wasn't the first choice for the role.
Who was it?
It was supposed to be Awkwafina.
Interesting.
And I think Awkwafina couldn't do it because she was doing Shang-Chi, which is the same reason why Stephanie Shu almost wasn't in Shang-Chi because of a scheduling conflict. And they just happened to be doing reshoots and they brought her back in to do the role that she has in Shang-Chi.
Who is she?
She's their homie at the restaurant with them.
Ah, okay.
Which is crazy because I thought about it. I was like, man, I remember watching Shang-Chi and like, yeah, she's just kind of a bit character in that movie.
Yeah, I
And
didn't
then
realize that was her.
Fast forward 5 or 6 months, and here we have Everything Everywhere All at Once, and she gives one of the greatest performances that I've seen all year.
Right.
She's so good. Michelle Yeoh is always great. I love Michelle Yeoh. It's a great story. It's the best multiverse movie that we got all year.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably the best multiverse story that we're going to have over the span of these next 2 years because The Flash is coming out this year. Now, remember when we were supposed to have 3 multiverse movies this year? This was supposed to be the year of the multiverse?
Remember when The Flash wasn't just a minefield of nonsense?
It's okay. It's not going to matter too much longer. Anyway,
Fair.
speaking of the multiverse, their way of doing the multiverse in this movie is so cool.
Yeah.
There's a lot of interesting concepts in here. I think it's super funny, but also like there's a scene, the rock scene is insane because it is somehow emotional and it's rocks.
It's
Yeah.
rough.
Yeah. Visual effects work is amazing for a movie of its budget. It looks good. It sounds good. Like everything about this movie is so well done. And I hope the Daniels get to do whatever they want because they did a fantastic job directing this.
A24 gonna let you wild out.
I hope so.
This is A24 too, right?
I think it's their highest grossing movie, as a matter of fact.
All right, look at that.
Yeah, this movie was dope. And I can't wait to see what
Yeah.
Oscar nominations it gets, but mostly Stephanie Shu deserves to get a nomination.
100%.
She should. I know Michelle Yeoh's going to get one, so I'm not worried about that. But yeah, Everything Everywhere All at Once, in my opinion, the best movie to come out all year. Even though it's my number 3 on my favorites list, I legitimately do think it's the best movie to come out all
Well,
year.
that's fair. That's how favorites work.
Yeah, it is how favorites work. That's why this is favorite movies of the year, not best movies of the year. But guys, that's it. That's our top 10. Thank you guys for joining us. It's been a long time, but that's what happens when you're doing a top 10, isn't it?
Yep. Thank you for sticking around with us and listening to all of that. Thank you for not fighting us in the comments, but if you want to, go for it. We need engagement. Thank you, Crown Digital, Brandon, and Io for putting us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. To me, thank you for editing, putting us on YouTube, going into your ISO on filmmaking, and talking about that in the way that only you can.
Getting real nerdy.
You're getting real nerdy. Your top 2 are both comic book movies. I mean, depending on how you switch around your top 3 at any given time.
I was actually very impressed with this year with my list because it wasn't as full of blockbusters as it usually is.
Yeah, it's been a nice year for that. Colin, thank you for actually coming to do these with us. We missed you. I was so glad to see your list. I know that you're probably going to dip out again next year because I keep throwing allegations at you.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, hey, you like horror movies.
I do not.
Audience, what'd you think of our list? Let us know. Is Wakanda Forever in your top 10 or are you anti-black? Let us know
There
in
it
the
is.
comments.
And
Yeah,
tell
you got
us your top 10 in the comments down below.
That's true. We are curious. Or, hit us on Twitter at y'all_different while we're still able to promote there. Instagram and Tumblr at Creative Differences Podcast, Facebook.com/Creative Differences PC, and TikTok at Creative Differences Pod. If you want to talk to me about whether or not heartbreak feels good in a place like this, I'm on Twitter and or Instagram at a king named Simba.
Hit me up about what movies that we didn't talk about that I should see. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at DuckMcGuck.
You guys can come find me on Twitter and Instagram at DreamyFilms. Dreamy is spelled DREEMI. Feel free to talk to me about any of the movies that I have on my top 10 list, as well as my honorable mentions list. I would love to discuss them with you. Thank you guys for joining us. Tune in tomorrow. We will be talking about our favorite TV shows of 2022.
Hey, it's going to be fun. And if you want to find Gaby, somebody please find Gaby. She's on Twitter at I am in fact a furry.
Oh, okay.
She did not beat the allegations. All right, guys, it's been different. Bye.
Bye.
Colin,
What's up, dog?
I have a question for you and a follow-up. Did you see The Woman King?
No.
Follow-up. Is it the anti-blackness or the misogyny that kept you out of the theater to see The Woman King?
It is neither. It's the fact that when it came out was a weekend that I was not in town.
Oh, you were
And
out.
They don't got no movie
The place
theaters
They
out
got no
there.
movies.
did not have that. So